All right, here's module 1 on week 3. You ready to get things going? Let's roll. Okay, I'm excited about this because listen, we've got our Denvers. They're becoming a little bit more believable. Hopefully, and you should have gone out and gotten advice to make sure this big step you're about to take to accomplish your Denver is something that's really what you think it's going to be. Okay, that's what advice has done. Now we're gonna go take it. So here's the deal. The reason I told you in the last week is that you have to have a mirror moment is because as long as you say yes to your Denver after you vetted it with advice, what's the third step is a shit ton of work. All right, but here's the catch. If you're excited about it and you know you're gonna work hard no matter what, like we talked about in the first week, doing what you love to do and working hard at it isn't that big of a deal because you love it already. See, this is where desire kicks in. You have got to, at this point, engage a ton of desire, a ton of desire. The problem is most people don't really know what desire looks and feels like. We all think we want it, but the people who are truly succeeding know desire at a completely different level. Let me illustrate. I do this for a lot of audiences. We're gonna do it 2 different ways today to show you what I mean by desire. Because when you pull the curtain away from successful people, you're gonna see desire at its truest form. For instance, imagine if I took you in a little boat and we were on the ocean and I took you about 5 miles offshore, you couldn't even see land anymore, and I threw your butt overboard. And I said, you wanna win? You wanna succeed? You tread water for 10 hours. I'll be back to pick you up in 10 hours. And you're like, okay. So I throw you off, excuse the analogy, but I'm gonna illustrate desire. You're out there treading water, and 10 hours later, I roll up. And I mean, the water's right here, you're barely hanging on. You're like, oh my God, I can't feel my arms anymore. I'm barely making it, Steve, I'm barely making it. That's where most people think desire is, and they're wrong. Then what I do, forgive the analogy, but I'm making a point, is I roll up to you in the boat, I lean over, and you're like, Steve, help me. And I take your head, and I shove you underwater. And I hold you there underwater. Now listen, as burning as your arms are, as tired as you are, you've got more left in you because you don't want to drown. And whatever's left in you, you're going to come out of that water fighting and kicking for your very life. And when you have that kind of desire, that's what I'm talking about. When you want it as bad as you can breathe, that's the kind of desire we're talking about. See, because when you look at successful people, and I'd like to, however you define success, but I'd like to think that I've had my fair share. And I like to say when you pull the curtains back and see what's really going on inside of us, because we all try to be very nice and helpful and smiles, and we don't talk about that kind of desire. That's why people who are successful, talking to other people who are successful, we don't have to ask about those bad days because we know what kind of fight it took to get there, all right? But for me, this next slide we're going to talk about kind of pulls the curtain back on what's really going on inside of anybody doing something successful, however you deem it, all right? And it's called, Why Do I Succeed? And I saw this quote, and it just really sums up the blood, sweat, and tears that's going to be required for you to achieve your Denver. And you can read it. I don't need to read the whole thing to you, but here's the important thing you need to understand, all right? That anyone successful is doing this, and anyone in their Denver that wants to really kick ass and take names is doing this last one. If I fall, I will get up. If I'm beaten, I will return. I will never stop getting better, and I sure as hell will never give up, ever. That's what it takes to win. And listen, if this Denver doesn't excite you to that level, let it go. But if it does, today's gonna be your lucky day because we're gonna go take what we deserve, okay? Because here's the other deal. We are a country, a world of excuses. God, we love excuses. More importantly, when things go wrong, we love to have excuses and why it's not our fault, okay? And it's just excuses don't cut it anymore. I don't care about your problems, and neither do anybody else. If you want to achieve your Denver, you've got to cut through all that and drive the train into the station, all right? This is where desire to win, to never get up. If I'm beaten, I will get up. I will never fail. Listen, you might beat me, but I will die trying to beat you, all right? Because if you think for a minute you can outwork me, out-hustle me, out-anything me, maybe you can, but I will give you everything to beat your butt. That's what's going on under the surface. And that's what desire really looks like, okay? It's the ticket to ride. When I talk to all these audiences around the country, I don't care what your resume says, okay? I don't care what degree you have. I don't care what grade point you were. I don't care what club you were in. I don't care what your last job was. I only care about 3 words. 3 words, okay? And this is that desire coming to the surface. I care about whether or not you can get shit done. Let me say it again. Get shit done. Because if you can't, I will find somebody who can. But here's the deal. If this is your Denver, you're like, and you vetted it, and you've liked all the advice you've got, and you're ready to kick ass and take names, you're kind of like that thoroughbred horse at the Kentucky Derby, and the gate just hasn't opened yet. You just need the gate to open, boom, and you will run in, and you will run around that track faster than anybody. But right now, the gate hasn't opened yet. But when you're there, and you're like, oh, I want out, I'm ready to go, that's the ticket to ride, because nobody at that point is ready to do anything else besides get shit done. And that's got to be you, all right? Now listen, like I said, the gate's not open yet. But that's why we've got to take these steps in procession. We've got to find our Denver. We've got to make sure it's the right thing, because again, a lot of desire is going to come into play here, all right? A lot of desire. And if you don't have that kind of passion, meaning you've skipped step 1 or 2, now you're just another employee looking for a job, and you're going to suck, all right? For you and for the employer. You don't want that. But if you've gotten your Denver, and you've vetted it with advice, and now again, you're that horse at the Kentucky Derby, just need the gate to open, and you're gonna run, all right? That's what we're gonna do here. And I'm gonna show you how to open those gates.